All right, this is going to be probably one of the most important videos you watch of 2024 if you're not aware of this stuff. I promise you, because this is basically harnessing logic and the scientific method on yourself. And I have a bunch of modules on this that one day the world will see, but we're going to get into it. So this is how to identify and audit the hidden arguments that are secretly controlling your life and the results you're getting in your life, right? Because what happens is so many humans, they set up problems in their life that they themselves create, and then they just refuse to leave the problem that's screwing them over, okay? And once you can see what I'm about to share with you in this video in action, you're going to be able to basically audit your life from a new perspective that you've never probably audited before, or maybe you have, right, if you're into life design. And the problem with this, though, is you're going to eventually think you're insane, because you're going to look around at all the masses of people that live their lives based on secret arguments that make no sense, that they can't even see, and you're going to feel like you're insane because everyone else is insane. It's crazy, all right? Now, here is how we go about it. So how this video even started is I made that video on aura and charisma, right? And this dude DM'd me, and he's like, or he tweeted back, and he was like, yo, I saw the aura video, and my question is, how do you basically change yourself without evidence? Or do you get new evidence, or where's the evidence coming from? Okay? And the answer is, you have to learn how to play with the objective and the subjective in your life, right? Objective is what is real, and subjective is what is up to interpretation. Like, for example, here's an orange juice box, right? I'm peeing, bro. Now, this is objectively an orange juice box, because that's what it is. But subjectively, I think this is a really cool design, where other people would say, nah, that design sucks, right? So objective, real, subjective, up to interpretation. Now, these lines get very blurred in your own life depending on how deep you want to go, right? But you have to look at things and be able to walk a balance between the objective and the subjective. But transparently, most people cannot be able to, they just can't discern what's real and what's not real, because they think things that are real aren't and what isn't is. And this is a lot of issues that route back to logic and basically how to construct an argument, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. So let's talk about identity, right? So this kid was in my DMs, and he was like, I'm a loser. That's literally what he said. He said, I'm a loser, okay? And I said, why? And he said, well, because I'm not a millionaire at 21. And I said, bro, control your fucking mind. And then he's like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. And it's like, okay, so when it comes to things of identity, you're going to have how the problem is set up, okay? You're going to have your evidence and conclusion of the problem, and then the result of that conclusion. And when it comes to developing through, like, moving your life forward, you have to look at the result. The result is your ideal, right? What I mean by that is the result is the end-all, be-all. The result is what we look at, right? So let's say, and with this, if the result of what is happening is serving you, it is good. If it's not serving you, it is bad. And this is the punchline. People hold on to things that they think are true that aren't even true, and it doesn't even serve them, and then they won't fucking separate from it. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, stop doing this. You're literally just creating your own prison for no fucking reason, right? So here's what I'm talking about. How the problem is set up. So he was like, I'm a fucking loser, okay? Now, he doesn't have to think that, but he did. So he's in the loser setup problem. So he's like, I'm a loser, right? Now, how he defines loser... How he defined loser was millionaire at 21. That was how he defined it. Millionaire at 21, okay? And again, this stuff is subjective because these are his definitions of things. Now, we look at his evidence. So his evidence is, well, I'm not a millionaire at 21. So my conclusion is I'm a loser. Makes sense, right? Now, the result of that conclusion of him calling himself a loser wasn't fucking serving him. So he was sad, he was depressed, it wasn't fucking helping. So then why, if this isn't helping you, are you keeping this in your psyche? Fucking change it, right? That's the whole punchline. So the question of, like, because some people would be like, well, I'm objectively a loser because I don't have a million at 21. No, that's not real. That's you making up definitions, right? That's the line between objective and subjective that people need to see, right? What's really happening is you objectively have a definition, but your definition you're making up. Because there's going to be 100 other people that have definitions of loser, and I guarantee you, like 0.02% of them are going to be a millionaire at 21, right? There's going to be a lot of different definitions. So you have to pay attention to what definitions you're using and what logical argument you're giving to yourself, right? Because what you can do here, so let's say I wanted to make this guy not think he was a loser. What would we do? Well, we change everything about this. So the first thing we change is how the problem is set up, right? So one question he could ask himself, because you can solve a lot of this stuff with hypotheticals, is like, what if I changed the definition of loser from millionaire at 21 to someone who did something hard when they didn't want to, right? What evidence would I have for that? Okay, so now what we did here is it's like, bro, you're defining loser as millionaire at 21. What if you change the definition of loser, right? And so why is this even a problem before I even go there? It's because we look at the result of the conclusion, okay? You have to look at the result. The result is what we look at. Him calling himself a loser was not helping his situation. He wasn't doing anything. He felt sad, and it was a net negative. So because of that, we have to change it, right? Now, you might have some people where they say, hey, I'm a loser because I'm not a millionaire at 21, and because I'm not a millionaire, that means I'm a loser, but now I'm going to just work as hard as I possibly can to make $1 million. And so this isn't a problem because it's working for him. Right? This is what you have to pay attention to, because on the one guy, him calling himself a loser is ruining his life, and then the other guy, it's spurring him to action. That's why you have to look at the result. Is this working or is this not working for me? If it's not working for me, which in this case it isn't, you have to change the arguments that you're making to yourself. It's that simple. You have to get creative, right? So one question you could ask is, what if I change the definition of loser from millionaire at 21 to someone who did something hard when they didn't want to? What evidence would I have? Now your brain is going to find evidence. It's like, well, you did this one time, you did this one time, you did that one time, you did this one time. Oh my God, I must be a winner, right? Because now I've changed the definition of winner, so I am winner, okay? Because who's to say what's a loser and what's a winner, right? And you could even argue that, like, to become a millionaire at 21, you have to be someone who does stuff when they don't want to. So if you have evidence, because you asked the right question, of you doing stuff that's hard when you didn't want to, you could make the argument that you're like a pre-millionaire. You're doing the right things. You're a winner who's early, right? And now you feel good and empowered. And now all of a sudden you're killing your goals and you're working really hard. So for you, we looked at the result, and that reframe was the answer, because you're doing what you want to now. You're getting the result that you want. Can you see this? It's all about what are you trying to do and what arguments are you using against yourself, and are they working or not? If they're not working, you change them. And if they are working, you leave them. Okay? Right? Because if this argument had to be something crazy, but if it worked for him, cool, keep that for you. Right? That's how you do it. Another one is introvert, extrovert. I used this one when I was younger. I used to think I was a super extrovert, and I would always say, I hate people, right? So I thought I was an introvert. I don't know what I just said, so we just redo that whole part. I thought I was an introvert, and I would say that I hated people. So I would always say, I'm an introvert, right? So the problem was, I wouldn't go meet people because I thought I was introverted, which I do like to recharge alone, but that's what you have to do. So I was like, why do I think I am an introvert, right? So here's the problem setup. My problem was, I am an introvert, okay? And then I was like, what is my evidence? And it was, well, I have social anxiety and I hate small talk. Those were my freaking data points that I was using. Okay? You have to look at what data point you're using. And so my conclusion was, because I have social anxiety and I hate small talk, I'm an introvert. And the result of that conclusion was, I can't go out and make friends because I'm an introvert. But here's the problem. My goal was to make friends. So how I had set up the problem was in direct contrast and conflict with my goal. So this had to be changed, so I changed it. So I started looking at this. I said, okay, I want to make friends, but I can't because I'm an introvert. That was my reason. So my block, right, it starts with the thing that you want. So it's, I want this thing. I wish I could grab this, but it's hiding. Can I do this? Here we go. I want this thing, but I can't because this is blocking me, right? Anytime anything is blocking you, it's an argument that you're making to yourself, 100% of the time. And anytime you get over this stuff is reframes and doing exactly what we're doing here, because you're controlling the argument. So it's like, I'm an introvert. I can't go out and make friends. And I was like, why am I an introvert, right? So one thing I could do here is you can see the premise of this argument is because I'm an introvert, I can't make friends. That's the argument I'm running on myself. So one thing I could have done is change none of this and just said, hey, even though I'm an introvert, I can still go make friends. It's over. Just because, even though I'm an introvert, I can go meet new people. Or I'm the type of introvert that wants to go make friends. I could have just created my own definition, right? And that would have solved the problem, but I didn't do that. I said I wanted to redefine the word of introvert. So I was like, oh, I'm an introvert. And I thought, okay, why? And I said, well, I have social anxiety, and I hate BS small talk. I hate wasting my time talking to people that doesn't even matter to me. And I was like, okay, well, that doesn't really make me an introvert, though. And then I was like, well, theoretically, if I thought I was an extrovert, what evidence would I have for that? And I was like, well, when I'm with my friends, I never shut the hell up. I do love meeting new people if it's the right type of person. And I'm like, oh, wow, I actually do like to talk to people. It just has to be the right type of person. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm not an introvert. Maybe I'm both an introvert and an extrovert, right? I just need to meet the right type of people. So that was a huge reframe for me. And now I still define, if someone asked me, am I an introvert? I would say yes, because I recharge alone, even though recharging alone isn't what Carl Jung said it was introverted anyway, so the definition got all jumbled up anyway. But long story short, I basically was like, okay, I can be extroverted, and then I started building additional evidence. So not only did I change the evidence I used for the original definition by asking myself a theoretical and finding different evidence to support my claim, what I also did was I started talking to people. I asked myself, what would an extrovert do? They'd probably start talking louder. They'd probably start being more expressive. They'd probably start making conversation with random people. And I started doing that stuff. So then every time I would do that stuff, now I had one little piece of evidence for the belief that I already had reframed. So now it was like, oh, I talked to this person in class. I guess I am a little extroverted. And it started stacking on itself, right? And eventually you see yourself as the reframe. So you're playing with the subjective and objective, and you're also paying attention to what definitions you're creating and the arguments that you're making, right? Because his argument with the millionaire at 21 being a loser, his argument is probably, I don't feel good and I can't feel good because I think I'm a loser. But he could actually undercut everything I just did with the argument of, I can be a loser in my head and still be super happy. I can be a loser in my head and still get exactly what I want, right? You can see the argument he's making is, I want something, but I can't get it and I'm sad because I'm a loser. Or I want to be happy, but I can't be happy because I'm a loser. Well, what if he just said, well, I'm going to be happy and a loser, right? You can just change that argument. That's the OG premise. Or you can go up a level and say, well, I'm not a loser because this and that, right? Can you see these arguments? Now, pay attention to everything that you think is stopping you in your own life and look at the argument you're making to yourself. Look at how your words and your definitions are trapping you in something that you don't want to be. Then ask yourself, if the counter was true, what evidence could you provide? And then start solving the problem. Start getting your own way out of these things. Start being your own therapist. I have a huge model on being your own therapist that I might drop one day. Right now, this doesn't just apply to yourself. And again, it's all about the results and your goal. Because if I thought I was an introvert and I had these beliefs, but I was still making friends, well, it's not a problem because I'm making friends. So who fucking cares what this is? Because it's working. Right? That's why the result, you have to look at the result. And that is your highest ideal all the time. You have to let the result tell you where to go if you truly want the thing. Okay? Now, not only do you see these arguments that people make when it comes to their character and their identity, you also see these arguments with how they live their life and what they're going after. Okay? Because you have the thing that you want. So let's say you want respect, right? Here's a good one. Let's say you want respect, okay? Then you have what you think will get that for you, the best method to get there, and then your daily. Okay, so let's say there's a guy, he wants respect, all right? And he thinks, well, the way I have to get respect is because I am, I need to be the biggest guy in the room, okay? I need to be the biggest guy in the room. So how am I gonna get there? Steroids, right? So now he takes steroids and he lifts. So you can see the premise of this whole argument. He wanted to be respected, okay? Now, there's a million ways to get respect, right? There's not just one. But usually what you'll see is a lot of our drivers in life are the flip sides of our early childhood insecurities, okay? So the guy that's always skinny, he thinks respect is being big. The guy that's always introverted, he thinks respect is being extroverted. The guy that was always fat, he thinks the respect is being lean, right? The guy that was always quiet, he thinks the respect is being loud. A lot of this stuff is counter to what you experienced negatively as a child, okay? So, but let's run this out. Thing that you want, to be respected. What do I think will get there? To be the biggest guy in the room, right? So we could change this right here. I want to be respected. What do I think will get there? Make a bunch of money, right? Make a bunch of money. So how am I going to do that? Drop shipping, right? So now he's doing daily actions with drop shipping, okay? Do you see how these arguments are built? This is how people operate. This is how they live their entire lives. This is how you're living your life right now. This is how I'm living my life right now as well. This is what we do. This is how we figure out what to do in our life, okay? And you can always go layers deeper and attack the premises that and the assumptions that your arguments are built off of. And this will allow you not only change how you see yourself, but literally change the direction of your life. Because you could go to the guy on roids, and I have nothing against steroids. I'm just using this as an example, right? Hey, I want some respect. I think roids are going to help me get there, okay? You could say, hey, bro, well, instead of getting huge, what about making money? And he's like, oh yeah, that would probably work too. And now it's a different thing, right? So, but this can be anything, love from your dad, love from your mom, respect from somebody, attention, whatever this is. Then we go, what do you think will get that for you? Then the best method to get there. This is the scientific method 101. And this will apply to your business too. Like, oh, I want more clients. What do I think will get me there? More content. Best method, short form content. Daily actions, make short form. You can see these arguments. Once you can see these arguments, I'm telling you, you will feel isolated in a lot of ways because you will look around at the people, in the world and you will say, why are you living your life based on those arguments and those assumptions and those premises? It doesn't make any sense and it doesn't serve you literally. And not only does it not serve you, but you won't let them go. And not only will this person not let them go, they will defend them to the end of time. They will defend the very thing, the very argument that is ruining them, that they will not admit is an argument because they can't see it, and then they will literally not let it go. It doesn't make any sense. So look at the results that you're getting. Is it helping or is it hurting? Right? Because again, if him thinking he was a loser and he's still making a bunch of money and it wasn't a problem, then just keep it. Who cares, right? But if something is stopping you from getting something, then you either have to reframe hey, I want this thing, but I need to do this to get this thing, okay? You can either attack this thing here or your definition of this thing. There's a lot of things you can do, right? Oh, I want to make $1 million. Well, the best way to do it is drop shipping. Well, is it? Well, what if you did this or this or this? Oh, I want respect. Well, the best way is to make money. Is it? Right? You'll notice, oh, I want to get respect. Well, I got to be a lawyer, right? Oh, my whole family's Asian and they want me to be a doctor. That's a classic one. I had an ex who was Asian. This is what happened. Oh, I got to get family respect. The only way to do that is to be a doctor. Is it? In that case, maybe, right? But the point is just to see these arguments that are happening. And once you can see these arguments, you'll be able to basically come to awareness with how you're operating in your own life. You'll see exactly how you're setting up the problems that are trapping you. And then you'll actually have a fighting chance at reframing the problems that are sticking points there. Because usually 99% of the time, if someone comes to me with a sticking point like this, all I'm doing is I'm reframing. The way that you get out of these things is reframing by looking at the argument you're making. Very simple. Once you see that, your life will get better.